Be a pair. Be professional. Be ethical. Be authentic. Be respectful. Remember, in this industry for comics, be a pair. Welcome to the Sunday Comics Brunch, where we dine on comics and comics headlines, hosted by Mr. Anderson and Meredith Logren. Join them and their guests as they go over the comics headlines from this week and their projects, brought to you by the Comics News Wire and Geek Insider. Warning and disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this live feed are those of the guests, speakers, and or hosts, and do not necessarily reflect the beliefs, official policies, ethics, or positions of the content providers, advertisers, additional hosts, and or guests, hosting sites, groups, or entities attached to this programming. Viewer discretion is advised. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everyone doing? Oh man, the last hour has been fun for me. My dog decided to go underneath the toilet. There was an ant trap there. We had to try to clean her. And by the time I got back to my computer, I had 20 minutes. And of course, my computer decided to slow down and start acting up and being weird. So somehow got this all put together very quickly. When I finally got the computer to work, it literally took me 7 minutes, and I even made new art. That's what you guys see here. We're going to be talking about a whole bunch of things, including marketing for comics. We're joined by Leonardo, Call Me C, Meredith, and myself. I'm going to let everyone go around the room and introduce themselves. Meredith, can you take over just for a few seconds? Because I literally was typing as quick as I could to get this done, and I need human needs for a moment. So go ahead.
No problem. I'm going to put myself up on the big screen here and introduce myself real quickly. I am Meredith Logren. I am the associate editor over at Geek Insider, as well as the executive producer of the Geek Insider podcast. I just finished up a crowdfund myself. It was the Compendium of Dread, an anthology of dark fiction, not necessarily comic books, but it has a tie-in, and I was able to do the hook. So maybe we can talk a little bit about that today. Let's see. What else am I doing? Oh, I'm one of the founding five of Terraform Comics, and we are getting ready to launch our very own Kickstarter for the Continuum. So there's a lot of news that's coming up, some announcements that we might have either today or definitely coming up this week. So be on the lookout for that. And let's see, let's pop up. Call me C.
Hey, I'm C. Michael Lanning. I'm a freelance artist with projects at Silverline and upcoming Terraform Comics. Right now, especially, I have a cover on a Kickstarter that's closing out for Silverline today for Team Beetle / Switchblade. So go check that out if you get a chance. And of course, I'm also the co-anchor of Week Ended every Friday. You know, if you see my face, that means it's the weekend. So, and that's what I've got.
All right. Leonardo, introduce yourself. Where can you find
Hello, everybody. I'm Leonardo from USA. I'm calling you from Italy, and I'm an independent author of a comic series named Catch Up that I work on since 2018. And I'm a painter and a muralist. And I'm here to talk about the Italian comic industry, some good works unknown in the United States.
I love how you roll your R's. Sucker for Italian, especially singing it. Okay, so good morning, everybody. This is Sunday Comics Brunch, and this is brought to you by Geek Insiders, Comic Book Advocates Network. And let's see, Rob, are you back? Okay. So I saw that the title here is Marketing on an Indie Budget. And, I have to say with just a quick comment, because I don't want to go off the rails with what Rob might have planned for today. But I just finished up my Kickstarter. I have an indie budget because what I'm trying to do with a lot of my stories is script them out and get art. Now, I'm not an artist, so I mean, it's not like Luke Stone, where I have a story idea, I kind of hash that out maybe with an editor, and then he has the ability to do his own art. So he doesn't necessarily have to think about the budget for getting an artist, whereas most schmucks like me have to, because I'm not like the triple threat when it comes to stuff like that. So looking at my budget and going, okay, what can I do to fund this? What can I do to get my work finished? And so that was what I was able to do with the Compendium of Dread. I have this book, and this is how I started off with the Comic Noob. I was able to take my prose. I kind of tripped into the comic book world, and I said, there's possibilities with these stories. I can script them, and in fact, I've worked on the first one to get 8 pages, and I'm really excited about that. But that whole process and going, okay, how am I going to fit this in my budget when I don't have the up up front necessarily? So it was an investment. I'd like to kind of go around and go, all right, besides Kickstarter, is there anything else that we can look at?
Well, I do want to say one thing, and I'm going to say it because I know you won't be offended by it. You have to kind of watch how you say that you tripped into comics. Some people might be offended by that. In marketing with comics, no, I understand it. I get it.
Well, you do, but I do want to explain myself since you brought it up.
Yeah.
Okay, so because I am a prose writer, and I've been working with Geek Insider for just over a year, so since November 2019. I started interviewing the comic book industry, and so when I say I kind of tripped into comics, it was because I was interviewing people, and I saw that they were really ticking off the boxes of all the things that I wanted to do as far as creativity, writing, scripting, putting art to it, and just being involved in this community. So when I say I tripped into it, it was really by accident. If you had asked me a year ago if I was going to be creating a comic book, I would have said, you're crazy. But the community picked me up, kind of dragged me and said, you can do this. And it was that desire that was in there already. So I don't want anybody being offended by the fact that I did trip into it. I kind of tripped in the door. And everybody that I have been involved with so far, that I have brought in to help me learn and mentor, it has, they've embraced me.
But the first thing about marketing is never have to explain what you just said out loud. If you have to stop and explain, hold on, let me finish.
I disagree.
I'm going to win this because I'm the story I have always wins. I named my site Written Sins, and it spends too much time. Trust me, what you're saying will offend people. I've seen how quickly fellow creators don't like it.
And see, now I will disagree with that, because there's a difference because that's fetish, whereas mine is a Genesis story.
Mine was never fetish. It was Written Sins. You're talking about Fetish Babies versus Barbara. I'm not. I'm talking about.
But written Sins alone. Then you can ask these guys. We can go back and forth and debate that. But Written Sins alone has that connotation.
Okay, let me ask you a quick question, everyone in the room. This her sounding like saying she tripped into comics kind of take away from everything that other creators might feel, even though she might not mean to. When you hear that, all the passion other creators put in going into it, do you kind of feel like, oh, she just tripped? Okay. Like, do you kind of hear it? Because I've seen it. There's a creator who got canceled when they were on a show who turned around and said, I don't really like comics. I'm just doing this to make a movie. And since then, he has had his career plummet.
Throw down. Yeah, we definitely want to hear
it. Okay. Honestly, to me, I guess I'm not sensitive like that. I don't necessarily mean. I get where both of you are coming from. The thing about that guy was he said he was into comics to make a movie. That just right there. She just kind of said she kind of fell into comics. So I get that. I understand that.
But from a marketing point of view, not a personal level. We're talking marketing today on the show.
Well, it's all connected.
No, but you have to cultivate your image. And do you want to be the person who tripped into, or were you the type of person who was empowered by the way that comics inspired?
But again,
that's part of the
Genesis. It's part of the Genesis story, which is part of my marketing strategy.
Yeah, but there's only
because the thing is, I didn't grow up with it necessarily.
Oh, that's not something you have to do with comics. But what I'm saying is that when you're introducing yourself, you want to be passionate as it.
And I am.
No, I know you are.
I am, and you can't deny that. But see,
but it's the
and
wording.
again, it's
marketing.
And I'm going to keep saying it until somebody besides you, Rob, seconds
I can get you a dozen people who will tell you that that's wrong without even trying. Leonardo, you're an artist. You've been an artist for a very long time. You've cultivated it. If someone says, I just tripped into comics and I'm kind of doing it, does that sound...
that never came out of my mouth that I'm just doing it.
Fair. What are the exact words you just said?
For sure, the comic ambient is sometimes exclusive one, so it's not so permeable to people from other fields. But anyway, it's not a bad narrative, I think, to trying to be sincere about one's background. Then it counts how you played. Like, for example, the guy who wanted to just make movies and considered comics another just a side things. Yes, that is not a good way to make a good impression on comics readers.
I will say this, just because it's happening in my inbox right now, because I'm actually getting inboxes now about this conversation. No, it's not the people you think it is so far. I'm not going to answer you. I'll answer you lately. And it's because there's more than one person who's talked about only making movies. And that goes to the marketing aspect. Whenever you say something, when you're marketing yourself, now we're having a sit-down show, so this is different. But I've heard Meredith actually talk about that tripped into comics thing and calling herself a comics noob. And that's fine for her now, but I'm not always interested in what she's doing now. I'm interested in where she's going. And where you're going, saying I tripped into something, no matter how true it is, that's the cute story at the Comic-Con panel. That's not your marketing brochure. That's like saying Disney said, I created the mouse because I hated the fucking job I had, so I created fucking Mickey Mouse because fuck them.
I love that story, though. I would be like,
he did, though. That was Oswald. He said, F Oswald.
That's actually the true story. But you never do that. I bet you there's a bunch of people right now who didn't know that's why Mickey Mouse was created, because he got frustrated. And he had a dirty mouth. If you don't know that, I'm ruining Disney for you this morning. He had a dirty mouth. But you see the marketing campaign?
I love that. That would draw me in. Yeah, and I guess it depends on the crowd that you want and the people that you surround yourself with. And again, I never said that I tripped into comic books and, oh, by the way, I'm just trying this thing out. No, it is I tripped into comic books and the community embraced me and helped me learn.
See, that's the only problem that I could say. I don't think I could have an unbiased opinion about this because I know what she meant. So I can't come from that like, oh, I can't take it as face value. Yeah, I get, like I said, because I can get both because I understand what she means and I understand what you mean. So I'm about to, know.
Well, let's just do a cold then. Instead, you know her, but you don't know her. Forget it's her. Any other person said I tripped into comics, you don't know their backstory. That's the first thing they're saying when they introduce themselves.
See, but that's the problem, Rob. You're stopping it right there.
No, I'm not.
I tripped into comics.
You person
Boom, stop.
No,
I tripped into comics and you stopped.
Say it. Say the whole thing. Say the one sentence.
I tripped into comics and the community embraced me and brought me in.
Hopefully we're going to get our messages now because I'm hoping the audience is watching. I'm trying to get our mess. There they are. All right, so hopefully we have some feedback. For some reason, Facebook was messing with me.
Oh, there they are. They just popped in here.
Yeah. Okay. So would that stop you as a creator and go tripped in? Because it's the wording that trips me up. See the pun there? Forgetting you know Meredith. Put it on any.
Forget that you know me, but don't stop right there. I tripped into comics and stop. It's not that.
No, the whole thing. And the community, I don't want to paraphrase.
And the community embraced me and brought me in. Now, as the community in the comic book industry, I would assume that they're already in the industry and they would reject me if I was just, a person who was like, oh, I'm just storyboarding and making movies. And this is just whatever.
Okay, that might be one specific person. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
That is one specific person.
I will say this much, considering what we've seen this week online, that using one word doesn't help negate how people are going to feel about it. And so saying tripping might that's what they'll hear. They won't hear everything else you say. They'll just hear tripping, and then they'll get offended by that.
For
Okay,
example,
so keywords.
I'm curious about what was the first things you learned by the community? What was the
Oh, what were some of the things that I learned that the community did? It was just encouraging because I asked questions. I didn't go in just saying, "Hey, I need an artist to work for free." I said, "How do I do this? Where do I go? Who can you connect me with?" And so there was just kind of dropping breadcrumbs of intention to say, I'm doing this, I'm serious about it, and I want to learn. I wasn't going to come in and just say, "Hey, I made a comic book. I wrote a script. Hey, you want to do art for me for free? And oh, by the way, I'm going to be the next Stanley or whatever." I mean,
I have fucking heard that,
and I have too. I have too, and that I never approached it that way. So I came in as a new person,
and that's why I always think you deserve better. See, to me, you deserve a better intro.
But to you, Rob, that's fine. But I haven't fully shed the comic noob
I get that
title yet. So
that's what I'm saying.
And that's going to and that is going to change. Trust me.
You're going
over time, it's going to change.
But the wording is so important in things, especially when you're on a show floor, because you only have sometimes that first couple words, and either you have them or you don't. And you'll know it the minute you go to a show floor. When you're doing a show, you can see the interest lost. That's why my pitches are so quick and so on point. You don't get to make a second mistake with people walking by your table.
I do want to say I think there's a difference
I've
between the bigger the bigger shows and the smaller cons, where you have that time to talk to people.
That pitch is so I cannot stress that. That's why I'm so big on the elevator pitches. You literally have 3 to 5 seconds. If you're not connecting with them in 3, that's why you can't get up and go. If I'm in pain, I get up and I say hello while I'm stalling to catch my breath. You want that intro. You want to keep them engaged. I'm telling you, I've tabled with enough creators now. I've watched them stumble and lose a sale. I've seen them come out of the gate poor. I've seen them stumble on their own words. But I'm dyslexic, so I stumble on my words a lot. So when I stumble on my words, I go, see, that's just the dyslexia kicking in. And you have to get that energy going. So that's why wording, I'll tell you right now, is pitches. It's so important. You don't have a pitch down. I've seen it. I've changed my friends' pitches, sold more of their books, and now they have my pitches. And I didn't learn this on my own. I was taught by other people like Richard Rivera, Roland Mann. I hung out with other people smarter than me, and I'm just passing down what's been given to me by other greater creators. Buddy Scalera, great. He can go up there. He can say something off the top of your head, and you're inspired. But that's where I learned this from, and I know you don't get to, you never say anything you have to explain later. It has to be so basic that they're asking you questions. And there's a difference between someone asking you a question if they're genuinely interested and someone being like, what did you just say to me? And you don't want that, what did you just say to me? You want to avoid anything that does that. Now, on a show like this, no one's going to turn it off after 10 seconds, of course. We're talking about marketing. And marketing, you do only get, like a commercial gets 2 seconds before someone will turn it off. And I've been caught by a commercial that comes out strong right away, and I'll actually sit there and watch commercials despite my hatred for commercials. What about you, Leonardo? You're from a different area. How have you done? Like, talk to us about how it might be different. Because I've heard that in America, I had an Italian artist sit with me one day, and she said that and when she was in Italy, they came up and talked to her. She never had to throw pitches at anyone. She didn't have to talk to anyone when she was doing.
Oh yeah, exactly. I was thinking exactly the same. That I also watched the previous branches you made it. And actually, I realized that I don't have an idea of many of the things you talk about of the USA reality. Well, first of all, I'm a special case because I'm really a rookie. I started to publish on my social media my comic, and like 3 years ago, and I'm had to learn the word. I knew you, Rob, through Facebook and through the Facebook groups, which are strangely like very good. It's where I found the nowadays the biggest crowds of comics passionate. Thank you. That's my Instagram. And so I had to choose approach good for this age that is not counting on the publishing houses. Like I don't dream about big working for some big industry, but just making independent work. So sure, marketing also is changing in this way. So I have to. I am currently building my personal public, and today I feel it's like really one by one. I start to see now that are people, few people. I think that you can say like less than hundreds that are going begin to follow the story I'm telling. So for the moment, that's good for me, and that's my marketing way, marketing strategy.
Yeah, it's totally different in Italy as we're watching this. Meredith, you don't have to worry about elevator pitches. The customers come to you. I sat there with my jaw on the ground. They come up to your table and ask you what you created, and they talk to you. They're the one engaging you. Unlike in America, where for the lack of a horrible analogy, it's fishing. We are literally using our posters behind us. We're using giant, big, blown-up billboards that stand behind us. We have to have wording. One of the best lines I ever created was, I create books about fetish monsters and more. It has them always asking. And it's funny because 90% of them want to talk about fetish, but go around the road. So I'm like, what would you like to hear about? Let's try the more. And I'll tell them the more, and I can tell in their eyes they're not paying attention to me because it's about a kid's book. It's about the Advocator. And then they're like, so what was that fetish book? You know, they come back around to it because they didn't want to seem like a pervert. I'm like, it's okay. Perverts allowed. You know, let's have some fun. All right. You want to do some comments, Meredith? And
yeah, I see a few over here. Let's see. Mike Bankston says, hello, good morning to you. Trish Bankston is tuning in from her break, but she's got to go. She loves the work that we're all doing, and have a great day. You too, Trish. Mike Seeley, what was her original direction? Mine. Okay, we'll talk to that because I see you have a couple of comments here before focusing on comments. Is this an alternative to wanting to do novels? And it would be better if she's said she's a rookie or just dipping her feet in the industry, and she has been embraced. Okay, so I have been a prose writer since I could write stories, and honestly, I have a couple of stories as far as my friends and I when we were in junior high, where we wrote scripts and we did a comic book, and we were so in love with Star Wars and Indiana Jones, and we, you know, that was just the movies and stuff that we grew up with. So we decided to write this comic book and draw it out, and we sent it off to George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, and immediately got a cease and desist. And that kind of killed the desire to do that, because we got scared. We were like, oh shit, the lawyers are coming after us. So that's always been there, and that is part of my Genesis story that I really talk about when people have the time to sit and talk about it. So I've always done kind of the novels, the writing, the blogging, and things like that. It's just ink in my blood. But when I started talking to people in the comic book industry, I was just, I think there was just that simmering desire to do it and add it to my portfolio of things that I do. So, I want to have those comic book credits. I want to have the writing credits and the lettering credits. I want to try flatting, and I'm learning this whole process. And I'm not saying that I'm going to be very good at it, at all of it, obviously not, but I want to know so that when I'm creating the book that I can speak intelligently to the people that I'm working with, the team that I'm putting together for a particular project. Because a lot of the stories that I'm doing, with the Compendium of Dread, I'm taking those stories, I'm scripting them out. And what you see in prose is not going to be exactly the same that you see in comic books. And I see that with the first story, the first 8 pages, which will be coming out in a future continuum. So, so the genesis of that is really, it was almost like maybe a reawakening. How's that word, Rob?
Reawakening is nice because it actually, believe it or not, what do you mean by reawakening? See, it makes me want to ask already. Instead of tripping into comics, so this is just something clumsy, lazy that you did, and I know that's not you. That's the thing that bothers me is I know you, and I have so much more respect for everything that you have done. I've watched your journey. I've watched you get into here, and I love the journey you've gone on so far. So when you say trip, I'm like, that's not even accurate. She came in to help us. Like, you're forgetting that whole aspect. You came in interviewing us, trying to help promote us, trying to advocate for us, and that beginning sentence doesn't say anything about that. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I'm just curious though. When you say just dipping her feet though, that I have more problems with that phrase
I
actually do with having tripping.
I do too.
I agree.
Like,
that one's not. I wouldn't say just dipping your feet, but I understand what you're saying. Like, I'm trying it out because that's more of a test thing. So I can see that, like, hey, I'm dipping my feet in. I'm trying to see if this is for me. That makes sense, but that's not for Meredith. That's why I don't like it. Meredith
that to me feels like a lack of commitment.
Meredith jumped in. She's all about comics, and she's learning it. She's learning it like a student of the game.
Well, and I think that's how, when I think of tripping, I'm thinking you fell headlong full into it. That's what I feel when you say tripping.
That's kind of like, and I think that's just the language and how we interpret and stuff like that. But I mean, if tripping is tripping people up, and I agree with you, Rob, but see, and I can defend my position for that. But if reawakening, because it's always kind of been there, it's never had direction, I'll use that. I'm good with that.
You got that beautiful story from being a kid. You got to cease and desist as a kid. That's badass.
Yeah, right.
Like that's such a badass thing. And you're just like, I tripped into comics. No. She didn't trip into anything. She done broke the door down, stole Lucas's stuff, and then sent it to him. Look, bitch, this is how you do it. You ain't doing it right. This is how you do it for real. This is Star Wars. Don't let me hear about A Last Jedi. Meredith knew ahead of time. I know. Paul likes The Last Jedi. Every time I do a dig like that, he gets quiet and goes,
hey, look, I've lived long enough to know exactly how Luke Skywalker felt in that one. So, how many times I just wanted to go, don't bother me with this crap again. So
yeah, but no. See, for me, it's one of, if I didn't know Meredith and I wasn't a fan of what she does, because I am a fan of what she does. I've seen her start from that advocating position, helping out, and when she doesn't give herself credit for it, she stepped up in the middle of the beginning of 2020 when everything got real scary and everyone was scared. She was on every show she could be. She was trying to help people, and she doesn't ever talk about that. So I've seen the journey. So tripping in is just not what I see her doing. She embraced the shit out of it, came in to help. And then people turned around, like people like me, who are like, you're a creative person. And, you clearly like what you're doing. Why don't you be part of the creative pool? And then she joined Terraform. She's a female owner of a publisher. And I know she won't ever talk about that. She doesn't see herself as female. She sees herself as a creator. But that's still a kind of a big deal, even to this date. And that sucks that it's still a big deal. But she could be inspiring people. So when she says trip in, I don't want her to say that because she's so much more. She didn't trip into anything. She started something huge, and she's just getting started. And that's the really cool thing. And I like the the wording that makes you, the second life idea of your new wording, because it really is that, because you'll get so many creators who are like, I know how that feels. I walked away for 10 years. I did. I was gone a decade. I got my feelings hurt when I was 16. The first book I was going to publish, I got a contract, was going to do a prose actually. And I meant the prose to be a comic book always. I always meant it to be, but back when I was 16, there was no print on demand, no such thing. So I would have to break into Marvel. But I remember I edited the book. I hated it. I cried. It was so bad because of my dyslexia, and I hadn't learned a lot of tricks yet. I couldn't believe they had offered me like a $5,000 check for a 16-year-old. That's winning the lottery. And I was done. I quit. I quit writing. I quit writing for a decade. It would actually not be until, not even a decade, because I was 22. So like 6 years, I wouldn't write. Wouldn't do anything with writing. I'd have ideas. Every so often, I'd write down an idea. I wrote more poetry, believe it or not. And I didn't know it was poetry till a girl read it later and said it was poetry. It was just me, like, kind of dealing with life, but she said it was poetry. I was the most I did. September 11th happened, and I wanted to write a comic book suddenly again. I realized that was something I always wanted to do. So we all have that second life, that rejuvenation into comics, I think. And for me, it was at 16, I know I didn't know shit about the world. So between 16 and 22, I learned a lot of shit about the world. I went out and I embraced it. And I did a lot of stuff. We won't talk about it ever on air. Most of the stuff will never have a recorded record of the. See, I grew up in a time where there was no YouTube and no Facebook Live, so I'm still a free man. You know, but that's what it is. It's just about your passion. Your passion has to pour out of you. Like the art that we're leaving on the screen right now, you know, I can see your sense of humor coming through this, and I really like what you're doing here. And I think it's really cool. Like, we're looking at this. It's in English. He's putting this out in English.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes I make some mistakes that well, the public is also my editor because my English is not so perfect yet. Well, yeah, I was thinking that yeah, me too. I never did a real attempt to making comics before. I made many variation of my way through the painting and muralism, which indeed helped me create the character, because he is a muralist, like more like a writer. He do tags on the streets. And yeah, I'm ever wondered how some authors. Well, we know that the life of a comic professional is not very social. You have to stay a lot of the time at home in front of the computer, and I'm wondering how some people can have so many imagination without having traveled or had like different experience in the world, but yet they can they have this poetry like as a natural gift. For me, it was not the same. It took me a lot of time to decide what was the story I wanted to tell, and I understood then that this version of Ketchup is my third one, and in the other two I had to realize that even if I read comics all my life, and it was a big passion of mine, I wasn't able to make a real story. So it's a big experiment for me. All this.
Well, I'm digging what I'm seeing. I think you did a really interesting, funny job. Like, I get the humor in some of it. Like, I got to look through it before. I definitely suggest everyone do it. Besides Instagram, where can they find you?
Aside of Instagram, I'm on Tapastic, and on a little other network called Rogue Animals, rogueanimals.com. Yeah, exactly. And I'm curious about what you think about the on the websites specialized on publishing comics online instead of printing it.
You're talking about like a webtoon, comicsology. We're talking about all those. I'm curious. I'm going to pass it around the room. You guys, I'm just going to quickly because I'm getting myself to have an echo. What do you guys think? I mean, it's a good question. Leo asked a good question. What do you guys think about that?
As far as webtoons?
Webtoons, comicsology, like instead of just printing a comic book, you give it out digitally. So Webtoons Tapas, there's that new global from Gamal, global. Oh, hold on, I can.
Global Comics, huh? With an X.
Well, is it COMIX? Right, that's what I was trying to remember.
That's what I think, yeah.
Yeah, and it's all PDFs. All the revenues go straight to you. You don't have to print anything anymore. There's no need for a Comic-Con table. They're putting me out of business with my charms and my looks. What will I do with this? All of this isn't going to be able to go out anymore. No. What are you guys thinking? I'm listening. I just got to go check on Jax. He's getting yelled at, so I'll be right back.
Okay. See, you want to go first? Or?
Yeah, when you deal with the digital market, if you're going to do it when you're not expecting necessarily a payment for it, Webtoons is probably your best bet. There's been a lot of places a lot of webtoons that have been picked up to be cartoons, or even been picked up to be physical comic books. I can't remember what off the name of it right off the top of my head, but somebody got picked up to be a Dark Horse comic. So it's a good way to get yourself out there to let people know that you're doing comics. Comicsology, if you're going to charge for it, it's going to be a little bit harder than say webtoons. And I think Tapas, I'm not even sure. It used to be a big thing, but I'm not even sure if it's out there as much as it used to be anymore. And then, of course, Wickham Hennessy's Global Comics. What's neat about them is they have a roster of people, of comics that they have, and they have a monthly subscription that you can read those comics. And of course, the artists get a percentage of that. So that's really cool too. It all depends on how you want to market yourself. If you want to try webtoons, like for instance, it's kind of like going on YouTube. You might not see anything for 10 years, but you might not get traction for 10 years. But if you're constant with it, it will get noticed most definitely. So,
I think that's the key. Yeah, go ahead, Leonardo.
Yeah, in any way, the constant is the key. Because you can appear everywhere you want, but the thing is the people you connect to.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Marketing is all about networking. It really is. And go ahead, please.
No, I was going to say I have a hard time with PDFs because I'm online all the time, and and maybe this comes from my background in prose. I want a book. I have a hard time with ebooks too, but that's just me. I'm not the majority. I can only speak for myself. But and the thing is, if PDFs unlock art and stories from overseas that I want to see and support, I will absolutely support a PDF. But at the end of the day, I really want a book that I can flip through. There's nothing like having that ink on your hands or flipping through the pages or, just having something on my shelf. So, so that I understand the benefit of that, but also to what C was saying is the consistency. If you're going to be on those online platforms, you have to have consistency so that people see that you're not just a one-shot deal or, that you come and go, and nobody wants to follow that. It's too hard. You have to really make it easy. So by being there and also developing your fan base is so important. You can be on any platform. I say it all the time as far as marketing. Sign up for everything, lock in your username so that it's consistent across multiple platforms, so that when people, when I say MEREJ99, you do a Google search, my stuff is going to pop up. And that's the reason why I sign up for everything. Do I spend time on everything? No, there's just not enough time. And I don't have a team of people who are like, okay, you're my YouTube person. You're my Facebook person. You're my blogging. I don't have that. It's just me. So I have to, even though I'm signing up for everything, it's to lock in the username, maybe have a little bit of a pulse there, but I'm not spending time because that's not where my audience is. So there are reasons for it, but when you focus on it, when you say, okay, Webtoons, I'm going to put content up there, I'm going to develop a whole portfolio of content for people to come in and see, or they've been following me for a while, that's my landing spot. You can develop that, you can spend a little bit more time there. So I'm all for that. But again, I've heard so many people ask me, they're like, well, I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to do that and I'm trying to do that. I'm like, when do you have time to create? And they're like, but you said sign up for everything. I said, yes, to log in your, to lock in your name, your brand, but focus on where your people are. If it's Facebook, great. If you're driving traffic to your website, which is really hard to do, fine, find where your people are and develop them, because those people are going to be the advocates. They're going to be fans. When they become advocates and they start sharing out your work because you posted something, then you're reaching that next level beyond them. And that's where marketing, especially if you have a budget, you need those people who will be your advocate, who will sit there and share. And they don't necessarily have to throw $1 or, buy every tier when you do a crowdfund, but they'll be out there consistently for you to make sure that your brand and your product are in the consciousness, and you need them. So if Webtoons is it, if what was it, Tapas and a few other places?
Yeah. Well,
absolutely.
You also, and another thing also, that I wouldn't say it's coming up, it's been around, but you also have your Patreon too.
Yeah.
And that's going to give you a percentage of money that you get every month if you want, but you always want to use your social media accounts, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, if you dare, to push people towards that Patreon to support you. Kind of have a little tease here and there, and then if you want the full thing, come to Patreon and check out. And I wouldn't say come out with the $25 tier right off the bat. A lot of people come out with these high tiers. I'd say you'd have to be. I think your best bet on Patreon, start at $2, and then if you start getting into traction, start adding another tier and adding videos and things like that. Mm-hmm. But if you're just trying to get out there, I'd say Webtoons is probably your best bet.
Yeah. But Patreon is, I have to say that in Italy and in other countries too, is still a very alien idea. Just a few YouTuber actually uses Patreon with good outcomes. And but I think that it will grow little by little. It will take some more time. I guess that in USA, the idea of the Patreon and the monthly tier is already more ingrained, like starter and all these.
Well, your best bet with Patreon is to provide a service. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish that thought, because I was just going to say we're going to take a little bump after this.
Okay, for Patreon, the best thing to do is offer a service. Not only if you're going to have your comic, show how you make your comic. Show a video on how you make your comic. Show this is what I do, because those are as long as you have some type of substance besides just come look at me, and something that they can feed off of. Most your successful Patreons are usually about tutorials and things like that. So that's what I say. If you're going to do your comic on Patreon, but also give a little bit of something too, like a PDF background or something like that. So
or brushes. Many people sell brushes for Photoshop and
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to take a little bit of a break, and we'll be right back after this.
This is the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Also catch us on the HWWS Web TV YouTube channel. Subscribe today and become part of the legend.
And that was a little bit of love to Christian Basil and the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS radio show. And he's got a new YouTube channel up and running. So make sure you head over there and give it a like and a subscribe. Okay, we're back. Rob, are you back with us? I'm not sure if you had bullet points of things that we wanted to talk about or what was in the news.
Well, let me ask you a question, because you brought up YouTube, and this kind of goes with that. Is it beneficial nowadays, because there's so much traffic on YouTube? Is it beneficial to have your own YouTube video? For instance, for like an artist, you have so many tutorials, you have so many people coming out. They kind of cornered the market. Everybody that's been around for several years, it takes years before you really get noticed on YouTube. Is it still beneficial for an artist to put that out there? Would you do that just because, or?
I think it depends on motivation. And again, you need to know where your audience is. So if you're posting your videos on Patreon, for example, and it's exclusive, then you need to make sure that it's exclusive. But building a YouTube channel, I think people see the influencers who are out there, who have the super chats, who are monetizing their content and things like that. But very rarely are you going to see that overnight success or that instant success. These are people who have developed things over years in some cases, and some do trend, but that's almost like winning the lotto,
Right.
So if you wanted to build a YouTube channel, I think that's fine and good. Here's the thing, and I'm looking at it from also writing prose, okay? A couple of years, I remember when it was a brand new thing where there were book trailers. And it's like, why not? Why not tap into that market of like people who are engaged visually? So if you want to promote your book, you have a really nice trailer, you have the cover, you give a synopsis, boom, done. Where can they find you? Why not with comic books? Why not with art? So if you're using your YouTube to, let's just say you have that casual draw and talk kind of show, that's fine and good. But then when you have something that's finished, why not have a series of your art trailers to really look professional and go and point people to that and say, that's me. If you want to know more, then you can see how I'm drawing and my process and sit with me, So I think there are many ways that you can leverage that.
Okay.
But you don't have, but that doesn't have to be the main focus. Again, it depends on your motivation. Are you trying to build a YouTube channel to get monetized?
Right.
Yeah.
Because that takes work. YouTube is still a social media platform.
Yeah.
That means put social in it. That means spend time to comment on other people's videos, give it likes and shares and things like that. It's not just drop trow and run. All right. If you want to build it, you got to interact.
Right.
Yeah, that's something that make homogeneous all kind of communication nowadays. Like everything is based on the character. I, for example, know YouTube, a famous Spanish YouTuber, which I later discovered that he is also a comic author. And he talks sometimes, but I feel that his YouTube personality took over the comic author.
Yeah.
That's a danger, maybe a plus. I think that it helped him to sell better.
Yeah, for me, where I was most of my interaction or anything that opportunities that have come to me have actually been through Facebook. I would say not only the majority, probably primarily through Facebook, and that's from knowing people, from interaction, from your social networking and things like that. So,
All right. To answer your question, Meredith, yes, I was here, but Manning C started talking before I could unmute it.
I'm sorry.
The quick answers to everything. Why am I getting someone saying? Oh, sorry. One of my friends has just texted me. He was supposed to be on the show. Chris Mad. They're gearing for snow up in New York. I didn't know. 2 feet. Be careful if you're up in New York. He's doing the storm prep, so he won't be able to make it. We'll get him on the show soon. But to answer the question, Webtoons, Tapas are all great if you're planning to launch a book. You can't make money on Tapas and Webtoons. No one's done it in any real tangible way that could be repeated and done again and done again and done again. That's the problem. YouTube no longer works the way it once did because people cheated the system, and now Google's pissed off about it. So it's extremely hard. Plus, most people who are influencer either have boobs or do really stupid things or do things that like give away money and stuff, and half of it's staged. So you haven't seen a comic book creator who is not pre-established actually do a lot on comics without drawing. If you're an artist, there's definitely an avenue there. You can definitely wind up getting it there. But the trailers and all that, I'm not sure how much people see them, but it's always worth doing. You know, just if you want to be a presence, you have to do shows. Like Lanning was saying, I think it was UC that you said you have to do shows. You have to make sure that you're involving yourself with people. It was a good point. And the final part about Comixology, digital files are never going to make you money. That's trying to build a bigger audience for what's coming later. So a PDF gets you a bigger fan base. It's going out there and entertaining people who will want the next thing you give out. And that builds your audience. Same thing with Webtoons and Tapas in a way. Instead of it just being art in this regard, a lot of times Webtoons and Tapas, we're giving out a whole story. But that's for the people who are serious, who are going to make 100 issues in their career, who know they're going to come back and do some more stuff. They don't care about giving away something for free. But the problem with giving it away for free, obviously, is that no one really values free. Hell, I back things and don't read them because I was nice enough to back it on a Kickstarter, but I'm more likely to want to read that. And I kick myself in the ass for not reading that versus the free content. I know where Webtoons is. I never follow Webtoons. There was 2 Webtoons that got me to show up every week, and that's been it. The rest of it, sometimes I binge. But like Meredith said, I like holding a comic book. It's never going to change. They're like Stan Lee said, they're like boobs, and I like to play with them in my hands. I added the last.
Okay.
But it's what he meant.
Well, with Webtoons primarily is going to be your manga overseas, Japanese geared. They do have certain things. If you make enough, that they actually do pay you a little bit, but it's so astronomical. It's like she said about running the lottery, getting viral. That's the same thing with Webtoons. I use it. I would just use it as a vehicle just to be seen, and that's it. And it's going to be seen by very few people, really. But I mean, a few people can spread out to a lot of people. All you have to do is just get seen by the right person. I mean, honestly, it only took one guy showing Harry Potter to his kid for that to blow up. So that's you never know who you're going to affect.
Yeah, exactly. You can never know.
Yeah, it's just important to be seen one way or another, and that's how I became what I've got going on now is because somebody saw me on Facebook and contacted me and said, "Hey, you want to do a comic book?" I said, "Sure, of course I want to do a comic book," and because I'm immersed in comics, Rob. So.
You're not a super fan. You're not a super duper fan. You're not a giant Galito fan.
I am a big stuffed pink unicorn carrying fan. That's the kind of comic book fan I am. Wait, that doesn't sound good. Anyway.
I'm gonna put that on a T-shirt.
Of course. I like squeezing comic books and going, "It's so fluffy." So, but yeah, like I said, it just comes from everything that I have going on this year is coming really from Facebook and knowing people. I don't normally turn down a friend request. I don't know who you are, but I always take new friends. Golly, we need them, don't we?
So where do you guys develop your audience so that because at the end of the day we want to sell books, right? We want to create and we want to sell books, and it'd be nice to. For me, it would be great if I could make a living out of this. I haven't seen it yet because I'm coming out of the gate. So where are you developing your audience that can potentially buy? Because it's, again, it's one of those things where you can develop a platform, you can have a whole bunch of people following you, but if they're not going to open up their wallets, there's a part of me that goes, what's the point?
Well, in that way, I actually renounced to dreaming of living out of comics. It's something that no use for my creativity to have this target. If I have to be realistic, I decided to just draw it and make it the more professional as possible. But I see around myself that like one in a million get through the professional doors. And overall, if you want to tell your story, because I see a lot of Italian artists, for example, which are more focused on just the art. Like they don't care about the story. So if I can be a bit polemic, in Italy and in the Marvel and DC, you you just can draw for mainstream things. Never like develop your your um, your story.
Yeah, your own thing.
Your own
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm okay with that. I mean, I still work on it one by one. My audience for the moment, because you can't choose that. Like we said before, it doesn't matter the platform, and you can neither choose that. You see that more people are following you on Twitter or on Facebook, and you just go for it. So for the moment, the Facebook groups about comics are the main thing. I publish it on Italians, South Americans, and English speaking groups as well, hoping that people can cross the language barriers for the Italian and Spanish. And it kind of works because the word is coming more little. Um, so
Well,
yeah,
let me ask a question then. When it comes to Facebook groups, okay, you cannot deny that. I mean, I think there's over 2 billion people using Facebook. So that's where the people are. How do you find the decent groups that can help you market yourself on a budget? Because it is, getting yourself in front of people is step one. Putting in a good impression, obviously, you don't want to be infamous either. So what groups do you look for when it comes to maybe as a residual effect being a marketing tool?
well, I don't actually. I think that what give you the security of your product to be able to sell is the number of people. So for the moment, I'm not even close to like good numbers. Actually, I started a Patreon page, but for many reasons, many people told me that if you don't have already an audience, it's like useless to have a Patreon, because I had like just one Patreon, which was friend of mine, so it was like a favor. So I saw that also like marketing, merchandising tools are very hard to use because you you have just a little percentage of the product, and you you have another channel to take care of. Uh,
So to the artist here. Hi, Frank. I'll give you a moment to introduce yourself in just a second. For the artist, then in this room, because of those Facebook groups, not necessarily marketing or maybe accidental marketing, but when you share your work, have people approached you and said, "Hey, can you do XYZ? Can I commission you for this?" So in a way, you're kind of building up a portfolio because of those groups. Have you found that that's happened?
I'll answer. Yes. Well, no, not so often, actually.
Well,
So,
we can change that by getting your stuff out there, because what I think what the bigger thing here is, and I want Frank to do this, and I'm gonna get Leonardo go, because I know that I told him he'd only have to be on for the first hour. Just keep giving us art and we'll put it on the news, and then people will start reaching out to you if you want. Join the continuum that we're doing. Get your
yes.
stuff out there.
Yeah, sure. Is the like already an daily, like 2 3 times a week.
Yeah, send it to me. I'll put it in our news cycle, and we'll get you out there and we'll build you up. That's what this is about. I appreciate you coming on the show. Definitely a pleasure to meet you. And we're on Facebook as friends. So just reach out to me at any time.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks
Bye.
for being on, my friend. And one more time, tell them where they can find you.
Okay. You can find me on Instagram at Ketchup the Comic, and on Facebook as Leonardo Formusa.
All right. Well, thanks you for being on, Leo. It was a pleasure. We'll talk in the store, and we'll get you. Well, I mean, if you want to even put art in the continuum, we'll get you in there.
Okay.
Have a great one, my friend. And I appreciate Leo coming in all the way from Italy.
Yeah, so. and I want to say that we'll update the description of the show so that it has the links to all of the people who.
No, they have them ready. Remember.
Oh, they do.
The Creators of Written Sins link, it always updates everything. When Frank gives us his links, we're going to be looking at some of his stuff today. It's instantly in there. So I take care of that stuff. Speaking of Frank, welcome to the show, Frank. You're muted still.
Thanks. I heard an echo, but I think it was him. That's why I always use the earphones now, because otherwise you get that echo. Cool. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. How's everybody doing?
Doing good. Introduce yourself. Where can what do you do? Where can people find you?
Right. Frank Forte is my name. As for comics, I was big in doing, I guess, the indie comics in the 90s, early 90s stuff, Bad Girl Indie. Worked for Cry for Dawn, CFD, Boneyard Press when that was going on. Then I started my own Asylum Press in the late 90s. I did Vampire Verses, worked on Bill the Bull. Never really worked for the majors. Did a lot of indie stuff, indie horror stuff for CFD, Night Cry. I don't know if you remember those titles. Anubis Press was one of them. And then moved out to LA to work in animation, and worked on a bunch of smaller stuff for Cartoon Network, and then worked on the Alan Gregory Show, which led me to the studio that did Bob's Burgers. So I worked on Bob's Burgers for like 4 years as a story artist. And then I worked on the comic book, the Dynamite comic book, worked for DreamWorks Animation, worked on the Emoji Movie, Despicable Me 2, then moved to like live action. I worked on a lot of horror films for Blumhouse, like Insidious: The Last Key, Truth or Dare. I worked on Fantasy Island, and I just worked on Lovecraft Country for HBO. So I've been bouncing back and forth between animation and live action film and storyboards, but still dabbling in comics. Is like, I'm an editor at Heavy Metal Magazine, so I do every once in a while I'll get a story in heavy metal, I'll do a short, and I put all my older comics are now on Webtoon, like I'm putting them out there, so I'm still out there. They're on Comixology, but with COVID I've been like, I got to get back into comics because like it's my true love. Like that's where I started and I always loved it. Just hard for me to make money because I could never really break into the majors, As an indie guy in the 90s, if you didn't get good numbers, you couldn't survive. So now with Kickstarter and everything, all these indie guys are doing crazy numbers. They have this following, and I'm like, I gotta, somehow figure a way to make this work. So with COVID, I've been sitting home, drawing comics, getting my stuff together, and trying to figure out how to get back into comics because storyboarding kind of dried up a little bit. So now that's, I guess, where I am. A history of comics, film, and animation, and trying to get back to my own stuff.
And do you guys want to see the video for his Kickstarter?
No, Rob, we don't want to
Absolutely.
do that.
So here it is. And we have it preloaded because it's part of Backer Post.
Cool.
Listen,
Awesome.
here we go.
My name's Angelica. I'm a dancer. Exotic dancer. It was supposed to be temporary. I fell on hard times. I was almost out. Almost. Until a few nights ago. I was bitten by a demon. Or a vampire. Or a vampire demon. Whatever it was something evil. I blacked out. When I came to, everything was different. Before I could realize what was happening to me, I noticed I was changing. My body. I had powers. Strength. Agility. Teeth. Claws. I had abilities I couldn't control. I was awakened to the darkness. To a nocturnal world of monsters, demons, and Nosferatu. I was told I'm part of an ancient scrolled prophecy known as the Vampire Verses, that I'm some chosen one. I was warned there were 3 secret vampire clans who all wanted to use me in a sacrifice, for a ritual. Some ancient blood rite. I can't even grasp what's happening to me. I'm constantly hunted. I'm completely alone. I can't trust anyone. Or anything. If I'm not careful, I'll soon be dead. If I'm not already.
How cool was that?
I'm like, take the money, take it, just take it all.
Yeah. And
Cool,
I mean,
man.
I know he hasn't really worked on anything that's too popular yet. I mean, just Bob's Burgers, just a couple horror films, just been in it since the 90s. I mean, I know he's still new to this and all.
Right. I worked for HBO. What is that? I mean,
But I love the comics. I love the 90s. I actually saw some work in the 90s. I don't think I ever told him that, but when I was looking through his stuff, I was a kid who looked at the alternative comics. I mean, I grew up to write books about fetish monsters and more. So,
Nice.
of course, I was looking at the alternative stuff the whole time.
Yeah, right.
That takes me right back. I can smell the newspaper print. When I watch videos like yours,
I love it.
smell the
I
newspaper.
love it. And all that stuff, all those graphics, aside from like the little animation that I did that recently. All those images, all that stuff is from the 90s. Like that's the 90s books. I did 4 issues between 95 and 97. And yeah, that whole time was just great. I mean, you had, the Crow. You'd go to the cons, you'd see James Obar. You'd have the Cry for Dawn guys. You'd had Tim Vigil doing Faust, and everybody was looking at those guys going, I could do it too, I could do it too. And then you had all these other black and whites it was horror, it was adult, everything was like mature readers, so it was gritty. There was nudity and violence and swearing, and people were taking drugs, and it was just like, what is this? It was crazy. And then people were selling like 40, 50,000 copies. Like, people were into it. You know what I mean? There were a lot of readers devouring this stuff. So the fans were out there then, and just hopefully like the fans are out there now. And I think at that time, Watchmen kind of started it, where people were like, I'm sick of these, tights and capes superheroes that don't swear and don't kill people, and it's just boring. And we kind of brought that to we kind of brought that to the indie scene. Yeah, these are some of the old covers that you could still get. A lot of them are first printings. I still have certain amounts of them left. I think I could satisfy any Kickstarter even if I get a few hundred backers. These are some of the interiors, really fun, inspired by Wrightson, Kelly Jones, Tim Vigil, all those guys. Then I went in there with in Photoshop and added some tones later. I kind of think it brings it out a little bit.
Now let me ask you, Frank, did you ever do Big Apple Comic Con?
Yeah, I believe I did. Did we meet each other at that con?
I actually think we met each other because I have a photographic memory, and I was a lot younger back then, and I was a punk. I had the long hair. In the 90s, it would have been long hair, shades inside.
I think I had long hair back then too, man. I got some pictures, yeah. I used to do Big Apple and then Javits Center. After Javits Center went down, which is what were they? Oh, Big Eastern. You remember those?
Yeah.
Then it was Big Apple Con. Yeah, I did that. It was like in a second floor of I guess it was a convention center. I forget where that was.
It was across the street from Penn Station, because I knew all I had to do was take the train and walk across the street.
Right.
My younger sister at the point, Shorty, who you guys have seen chasing Jacks behind me on many of these videos, and she was like getting into comics when she was a teenager. So I'm thinking
awesome.
Like a 15-year-old girl with me to these conventions, and some of the things that you see were like he said, it was a different monster.
Yeah, it was totally different. Like, you would go and you'd be like comics, indie stuff, and then you'd see like porn. Like, some guy would be a porn dealer, and there'd be porn tapes just everywhere. You'd be like, well, those are just out in front of everywhere. Like, that can't be right. Or just the adult comics. Like, you would see everything from Robert Crumb to the Fantagraphics or Eros. Remember Eros? There'd be all those would be out. Some guy would have just adult like sex comics, and you're like, this is crazy, man.
And it's funny, I grew up to make a book about fetish, and it's very tame, very well done, and I'm still paying the price of things that I liked in the 90s. I don't mind those types of comics. That's what's funny. I never talk ill of them. The thing I hate now, the 90s understood how to play with sexuality in a way that this new generation doesn't. They just put someone with boobs on a cover. They don't position the character the right way.
Right.
Sensualness with it. The 90s had this gritty, raw. There was just something in the air in the 90s. I miss it so much.
Totally. I mean, I think all of us that grew up in that time do too. Not only was the economy was good, you had a little recession there in 92 or whatever, but the music, I mean, the Seattle boom and just for alternative music in general, and alternative college radio was great. And I mean, just the fact that you didn't have cell phones, like, you wonder, how did we get around? You'd be like, hey, I'll meet you here at this time. And then if people showed up, they showed up. And if they didn't, you were like, I guess something must have happened. You'd go off and do your thing. And 2 days later, you'd be like, hey, where were you? Oh, something came up. You didn't have this immediacy, or waiting, a beeper. I had a beeper. Did you guys have
I was just
beeper?
thinking about that. The beeper call. We had to pull over and get this payphone. Every kid's like a payphone.
Yeah, beep, beep.
I'll
find it. Cell phone. I got to take this. Hey, can I use your phone? Like, you were all important. Like, hey, I got to take this. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I'll meet you there. Yeah. Okay,
you had
10
to make
o'clock.
calls at night. Remember that?
Everyone thought you were a drug dealer if you had a beeper.
And remember, you had to make your calls at night. The first couple cell phones, like no one called anyone during the day. You had to wait till like 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, because
Why
the
was that
prices
the rule?
dropped.
Because
Yeah.
why?
Yeah. There was like, it was free after 9 p.m. because they didn't think
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah, right.
sending a
right.
picture was like doom. It was like if you sent a picture to a friend, you ruined their phone because
Yeah,
they couldn't
right.
hold the memory.
Yeah, and then when first texting started, you had to do it with the numbers. You didn't have a keyboard, so you had
Yeah.
to do it with the numbers. And every three, you're kind of like, people are into it though. And I'm like, screw that texting. I go, I'm never texting. I don't text.
I texted
Yeah,
was
Don't
stupidest
text
thing.
me because I don't text. No. And then
Yeah, I
finally, you're just sucked into it. You know.
I
There's
made
that
words
appreciation
for-
for communication, that from back then to what we are now, speaking to the immediacy. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I don't think we appreciate that, like how quickly we can communicate with each other these days.
Yeah.
We just take it for
totally.
granted.
Well, I think the generation in the 90s found a way. We had fun with it. I said dirty things with numbers. I let people know what was going on with numbers and no one else knew. The funny thing was I had an 800 number because I was dating a girl who went away to camp. So when I was really young, like 18, and she went away to summer camp. So I got an 800 number. And it was the funny things that my friends were calling up. So it was the first text phone. So you could call this operator. My friends were vicious to these poor people that thinks they were texting. Like, tell him I have his anal lube and he's going to need it tonight. And imagine there's a person who has this.
That's funny.
That was her job. But yeah, I miss the 90s. Marketing in the 90s was a little easier, like you said. And it's just like YouTube now and Facebook. For those who are around even 10 years ago, 5 years ago even, Facebook was easier to promote your product. It was. People liked your page and then they got updates from your page. Now I have an ad every 2 updates. My news feed is full of ads that I don't even want to see. And they took away the option to remove ads, at least on mine, because I said no to every ad because I want to see what my friends are up to. Groups are overpopulated and you have admins who are out of control. It's a lot harder to market. We were talking about that before you got here, Frank, how hard it is. And you get all these people who are trying to sell you the golden ticket, like they know about it. And a lot of times what it winds up happening is you're paying for a service that they're not helping you with. They tell you they can help you, but then they don't help you. Go ahead, Meredith.
I can't even tell you how many messages that I've gotten during my Kickstarter campaign of, hey, I see you launched this. You're doing great, but we can step it up for you. I'm like, get out of here.
Yeah.
I can't stand that.
You get a ton of those, sure. But I know other people were saying that too, that it was a lot easier, definitely a lot easier to gain on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook in the early years. Now they just want you to pay for everything, like pay to promote, then pay to gain followers, then pay to reach those followers. And you're like, wait a minute, like, what's it going to cost me? $1 a follower, then another $1 to reach them? Like, this is like broken. It's too much. It's not worth it. Some people know how to, they've mastered, paid Facebook ads, but I haven't done it yet.
Paid
So
Facebook ads, it's about money and it's about who you're adding, who the ads are going to.
some people say they're really successful at that though, right? Like if you know how to do it and you know how to target it, you can make it work, but I don't know how to do it.
It depends how much you spend. Again, you have to spend about $500 is the rule that I've heard. If you're not going to spend $500 on the ad, you're gonna miss it. Plus, you have to learn the places to do. I've done targeted ads. I'll be honest, for the most part, and it's one of the reasons that Facebook can't screw with me about my fetish stuff, is I have proof that they've promoted my fetish stuff on ads. So I have been able to show them that. It did help a little. I gained some momentum. The newest problem with the ads has to be the fact that everyone's so fed up with ads now that Facebook ads don't land the way they once did. Again, you need to build that audience, and you have to do it by going on shows. And now the new wave of marketing people, and a lot of marketing people don't mean anything by it, but they don't understand comics. You're back from the 90s. You know how much people are now trying to turn marketing comics into this thing that they think they understand, but they don't. Marketing comics has always been grassroots. You have to get to that fan base. It's not just about sharing it, it's interacting with people. They don't want to just see an ad for a comic. They want to hear from the creator now. It's become so different because creators have now been made more important than the comics, and I hate that. I think the comic should speak for itself.
Oh, right. You think that's what's happening? Yeah, I mean, you could be right, but yeah, that's why I like this whole podcast tour. I wasn't really doing it, or I didn't really realize how important it was till I started talking to more people that were doing it and doing Kickstarters, and they're like, "You got to do the podcast or the podcast tour." I'm like, okay, no, what is that? You go around. I'm like, yeah, COVID, of course. And I started doing a few of them. I'm like, okay, this is cool. I could do this. I could do like live drawings and interact while you guys talk. Like I have something I could give to this medium that's more than just like gabbing, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this could be cool because yeah, people are stuck at home and I always did Comic-Con, WonderCon, Long Beach, LA Comic-Con. And yeah, it's great. Like it's a great way to interact, but how do you do that now? You know, it's you got to figure out a way to do it. And yeah, about the Facebook thing, do you think it's like I'm on Facebook, I have my personal page and my personal profile, then I have a page, and I started creating all these other pages, like a horror comics page, Asylum Press page, Horror Illustrated, Xeno Magazine is a page I have for like everything heavy metal and eerie and Vampirella. Like, is it important that someone like me starts up a bunch of different pages so you get a bunch of audiences out there so that, you know, you post cool stuff, and then when you want to promote your own stuff, you could go to all these 10 pages and go, oh, by the way, here's my stuff, because my personal following, my Twitter, my Instagram, it's like you don't even reach those people anymore. So do you think it's a good idea for someone like me to have like 10 or 15 pages that are all comics related?
Honestly, as someone who just deleted 7 pages this morning, it divides your focus. I have ADHD. I do a lot of things. I'm building a comic book directory. You saw the new virtual floor that we're working on. I have Comic Book Advocates. That's an advocating site. We run CNW News. Terraform Continuum is a brand new thing that's bringing together all different creators and letting them show their stories, building a library. I create my own comic books of Fetish Monsters and more, and I run comics. And today I decided that I'm going to take the underground comic movement site a little bit more, Comic Book Underground Advocates. But that's me. It's crazy. It's just hamsters in my head running all different directions. My honest advice: work on one thing really well. Make yourself.
Yeah. So why did you delete your pages, and how many followers were on each page? Like, what made it not worth it for you?
Too many pages. Too many pages didn't interact the way they needed to.
What were the pages about? They were all about comics?
3 of them were like not just the comic, but a specific issue of the comic.
Your own comic.
Yeah, it was something I was working on, and we had the main one, and then I made one for everyone that came out, because at the time, a great technique, and this doesn't work anymore, but this is what I was doing. You could set up a page and then send out invites, and as you sent out invites, you could embed in it a Kickstarter link. It was a great way to build a bigger audience very quickly.
Now they don't let you do that?
No, they spank you for it. They tell you right away you're not allowed to put a link in there anymore, because people like me figured out, hey, we can use this as a marketing tool that Facebook hasn't figured out.
Right.
And I was going to say, yeah, I was going to say with Rob, because he's got group after group pages and stuff like that. I'm like, Rob, how are you keeping track of that? I can't keep track of the stuff that you're doing, and you're inviting me to these things. I'm like, no, Rob.
So you sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I have a lot of stuff. I mean, I write prose. I'm doing comics now. You know, there's a lot of stuff that I'm doing as far as marketing and you know, Geek Insider, Wild One Forever, Terraform Comics. It's like all of these things, and I'm like, wait a minute. At the end of the day, it's me. So if I can find a way to maybe portion out the pages that I do, like I have my personal and I have my business, you know, and I'm not quite to the point where I'm driving traffic to the business site. So it's like, you know what, maybe I have to get to 5,000 first on my personal. And then I can say, oh, well, if you want to follow me, you know, then get over there. I'm not to that point yet. You might be, because you have your following, you have the history with your comic books and your art and things. So, you know, and everything else that you're doing. But the thing that I spoke of earlier was making sure, because you're only one. So unless you have a team that can help you with the marketing, and you're paying them, if you have the budget, most of us don't. That's different. Then they can stay up on top. Then you're saying, oh,
I think Meredith's kicking out.
A little bit frozen.
Okay, you're hitting those targets.
All right. Not
Am I back?
fully. Give it a second.
Yeah,
I'm
so
just going to finish my thing because I can see you blinking in and out. Give it a second, let it fully formulate. To finish what I was saying to you about pages, the problem with pages right now is that Facebook doesn't like pages right now. They like groups. So they're not helping you promote your pages. They're going around. This is their time. They've decided groups are more important. 2 years ago, pages were more important. And they shimmy and shift. Don't build. I disagree with Meredith. I don't think now's the time to build a page. I think now's time to build a group or to build your own brand. You're an artist. Start your own show.
Start my own show?
Yeah. Just sit around, invite people like Meredith, me, all the people you're running into onto your show, and draw their characters just to build it really quickly. Ask them what their character is, draw it while you guys are talking, and talk about the industry and talk about the 90s, talk about what just happened in the news. That's a great way for you as an artist to build a giant brand, because you're going to get every creator wanting to be on your show because you're drawing their characters. And then you do a chat and draw as Mike Watson did. Charge him a little bit, $30, I'll draw your character. And it'll be just for you. $20.
Start my own podcast. You mean on StreamYard?
Yeah, I mean
and then blast it out everywhere.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised how quickly people want to become your fan, because everyone will tell you they can market you. I think you're back, Meredith. I see you're done being pixelated, so I'm going to pass it to you in a second. When people tell you they can help you, the truth is they really can't. There's a lot. Everything that's stopping you is going to stop them on Facebook. The person who's going to help you the most is you. You doing your own shows, you showing up on shows like this, being part of it, doing a backer pause, Pops' show. I know you.
Yeah, right.
You could do Geek Insider. Tomorrow they're doing Indiegogos, but maybe in a week they'll be doing Kickstarters. You want to get on every different platform you possibly can. And if you're offering to do a picture of them, and you did Bob's Burgers, come on, who doesn't know Bob's Burgers? Like, I mean, you're a celebrity in this industry, but you don't brag about it, which makes you awesome. And that's going to make someone who's going to be a great host. And even if you need a co-host, there's someone who, if you need a co-host for the first 2 shows, you do, I'll come on with you until you find a co-host, and then find yourself a regular co-host. Because sometimes when you're drawing, I know it's hard to keep the conversation going.
No, I think that's my problem too. I can't multitask at once. Okay, so just about pages real quick. I'll send you this link and you can check it out. This is Xeno Magazine. This is one of my pages that is my tribute to heavy metal. It's in the private chat. Heavy metal, everything eerie, creepy, epic, illustrated, all that stuff. So I did it to, post cool stuff. And there's also a group attached to it where people can interact. And then I want to build the fan base of heavy metal and all that stuff. So when I do like a heavy metal type anthology or something, then I'll already have this base and I could go, hey, check out what I'm doing. So see, I'm putting up some, I post cool, Kickstarters. But if you scroll down to 500 people, and I post sci-fi stuff, right? Richard Corbin, Jen Sternad's thing, images of Heavy Metal Magazine, a time-lapse drawing I did. See, I throw like my stuff in there. Farmhouse is a webtoon.
So you want advice, right?
Yeah.
Notice your interactivity or lack thereof. No one's commenting. No one's liking your stuff. You start doing videos in here, part of that StreamYard thing, do the videos right to this page. Show them that you're on the page. Show them that you're interacting, and then you'd be surprised because when you go to live, see Facebook.
Why don't you think people are interacting? They don't like what I'm posting?
I don't think they're seeing it. Pages
They're
don't
not
get
seeing
that
it.
boost. When you go live, instantly, when you're live on your page, all the people who subscribe to the page finally get a notification. I don't know if people know that, but when you go live on your pages, you get notified that someone just went live, and because I'm friends with Frank. I'll see that Frank is live, and it'll be on that. And now you're drawing your audience where you want them. One of the cool things we started doing this year, talking about all the pages, is, and I think it was Pop said, "Kiss, keep it simple, stupid."
Mm-hmm.
Great thing to go, and it's an anagram. Am I getting that right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's an anagram that's perfect. So what I've been doing, if you notice in the news, is I use all my different pages for different places where I've put links, and I've gotten the news people, Mike C, and we have Meredith. They're all reading where it's coming from, so I'm subliminally telling you where the groups to go to are. So that's one of the things. You just have to learn how
Or
to
you just build the group a different way. But then, even though you build it, people still might not see the posts unless they go there.
Yeah, you have to get them interactive. Like, let them. One of the things that I noticed right away.
Well, here, two people liked, there was some heavy metal stuff, and maybe this is off-brand or something for my group. So here, I'm for the page. So here's another link I sent. So this is the Xeno Magazine group. I created a group of Xeno Magazine. So the group, everyone else can post and interact, but what I have to act as the admin if I see something I don't like. Because when you form a group, you're saying anyone can post, right? You can't restrict.
I think you can limit it, or
No,
it can be it can be reviewed by the admin.
Yeah, everything that goes in the awards is now reviewed, because I don't know if you know we're doing independent creator awards because I'm not busy enough. And during the awards, I get you constantly try to drop Kickstarters in that are off topic. It's about awards.
Right. So you boot stuff that's off topic, but anyone that joins it could post. So if you have a group of like 5,000 people, it could get crazy. You just got to kind of let it go, right?
Well, no. What happens is after you decline enough times, they get the hint. And you can leave messages on why you declined. I very nicely tell people, hey, listen, wrong group for this, go to this group.
I see. But yeah, a group admin could become a full-time job.
Oh, it can be. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Right.
I have to do it constantly.
You know, like Robert Ryan from Girls and Corpses, he posted, and now someone else is like posting. But, you know, I want to keep it to heavy metal, eerie, creepy, and everyone's open to post about that stuff. But yeah, you can't really control it. But you think I'd have a better chance with this group than that page?
Yes, because you can interact. There's just more interactivity with the.
And Facebook will promote this more than the page.
Yeah, because they're in love with groups right now. Because groups, think about it. The whole we don't say the word on here, the big P word from 2020. You know, that thing that made people sick that we're not supposed to say because then it affects our YouTube. Yeah, they wanted to make you. Facebook wants to make you feel like this is where you can be with your friends and friends. So that's why they're pushing groups, so they can keep it contained within their sites.
So almost every page I have, you think I should create a group for it, just to have it, and then maybe they'll go back to pages at some point. Maybe they'll start liking pages, but create a group for every one of my pages because I have a horror comics, horror illustrated. I have.
Why not mix the themes into one group?
Yeah,
just make the group about you.
Yeah, because you're going to end up making too much work for yourself.
That's what I was going to say earlier is that, because people who know you and your brand and the things that you do, they're going to follow you. So, I mean, have a group for you. I wouldn't get rid of these pages though, because what you can do is that's what you're doing. You're sectioning off the things into these pages, but when people are following you and engaged with you, then you can direct them to that. And it's not so much work. You're not spreading yourself so thin.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm also trying to build a newsletter, and I'm also actually putting together an old mailing list, like to do postcard mailers from people that have ordered from me before, like old school in the mail. You get a postcard, go to my website, here's a discount code or whatever. Because I think even in the newsletter, you have 10,000 followers, it goes to spam. Like not even everyone even sees your email. But everyone's going to look at their mail and see it. Yeah. So I'm kind of going to go back to that.
Not a bad idea. Also, look at pages as this. Pages are standing advertisements. They're your base for that particular thing. So if someone types in the name after they've seen you talk about it, that page comes up and they can like the page. But if you make a group, even I can understand Leave the Magazine as its own group, but I think you should make your own group about you and call it, Frank and Friends. And then you invite your friends on to show their stuff, and now you're interacting with all these different people, and you're kind of trading audiences. That's what we do in comics. We trade audiences. You have to get the involvement of other people, because if you're not reaching those other audiences, you're missing out on the bigger conversation that you get. Because Facebook's going to always punish you, so you have to have people share your stuff to get you higher in the algorithm. So you want to do that. And I mean, this looks cool. This group looks very cool. You have 203 people. That's saying something. A lot of people start groups, they get to like 100 people, they give up. I would keep doing this, keep doing what you're doing, but then I'd make one for you and your stuff, and then always talk about your pages. Hey, if you like this, once a day, in your group, talk about the pages you have. Hey guys, today's page of mention is this, and tell them about why you update it. Always update. Ooh.
Here's another one real quick. This is Horror Comics Collectors. This one has like over 1,000 followers, and I do get more interaction on it. So like, because I have over 1,000, okay, 2,000, right, follow this. Maybe I'm not getting the interaction, but when I see, 2,100 people follow this, oh, great, I've got a lot of followers. But you think even then, if you don't see interaction, they're not seeing it.
Yeah, because that's a good indicator of someone actually. Because see, like, I'll give you some advice here. Right off the bat, I can see some things. So right here, that I guess you shared this for Kevin.
Right.
You didn't put anything in here. You didn't tell anyone why it was important to you that you shared it. You didn't interact with people. You just shared a link. You would just put something, hey, guys, look, check this out. Reminds me of blah, blah, blah. See how you did here, the new time-lapse drawing, but you didn't mention who it was. You did a hashtag, but you didn't mention it up here. Mentioning who it is without the hashtag also helps sometimes when people search your group later. Because if you go, hey, you're on the show today, and you go, hey, I drew Dredd in my group, they come to your group 3 months from now, because these videos get watched 3 months later. Because as Meredith would call it, it's an evergreen video.
Yeah, right.
Stay active for a very long time, and we see them grow exponentially. I told you that. Our live numbers are never the same as our final numbers.
Yeah, right.
You put Judge Dredd in there in your Facebook group thing, and I'll pass it to you, Mike, right away. Just right here, if you do this, and you were to put in Judge Dredd, it would be able to find it. But right now, it doesn't find it. You see what I'm saying?
Because it has to be in the title, in what I type.
Yes. You want to,
when you find the hashtag.
The hashtag it won't find, because for whatever reason they don't interact that way. The hashtags are actually hard to find on Facebook.
Facebook, I think Facebook punishes you too, because we went through that with INDEE Vent, where it just seemed like after a while our hashtag, as it was growing, and maybe even Pops would know about this, they'll punish you. Because if it's getting too popular, they're like, whoa, put the brakes on that.
If a hashtag is getting too popular?
It seems that way, yeah.
Just use Facebook is not here to help you. They're here to make you either something they can sell or something they can sell to you. So when you use hashtag, that's a marketing tool. Why is this guy using a marketing tool? So this AI bot now comes to look at it. Well, he used 4 hashtags. I'm definitely going to suppress this. It is nasty stuff that they do. That's why websites building.
So don't put hashtags in any Facebook post. Then
I would say I've never heard anyone say the hashtags matter in the Facebook posts. I've heard Twitter; it's a success. Instagram, absolutely. And if you want to use hashtags, here's a trick. I'm going to give it to you guys for free for the watching. You put your hashtags in your Instagram and then share your Instagram on Facebook. It doesn't penalize you the same way, because it doesn't see you as trying to put the hashtags on Facebook. It just so happened to be in the content you shared. And Facebook still wants you to share things. And it never knows if you're sharing your own content as long as you don't link the pages. If you link your page to Instagram, then that they could possibly hold it against you. So how do you get around that? Because I know that I've had people ask me that. Simple. Take the URL. You can get on Instagram on your computer, and you can get the URL and then put it in your group. It's a lot of extra work. It is stupid what you have to learn. Recently, I found out when me and Meredith were talking about this. For a while, I was putting up just images, and then they must have caught on that a lot of us were using images to get around their algorithms. So now it doesn't work again.
Yeah.
You have to
again, the AIs, it's like some kind of scan thing or something. They'll pick up the keywords.
Yeah. They now can do images.
Right.
So go ahead.
It's a matter of like the indie comics guys. I mean, it's just a little bit of everything, right? They have Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, newsletter, known on podcasts, and maybe some are doing their own podcasts. It's just everything together. Like no one's using just one
you can't
social profile, because you can't, because they change the algorithms, right?
Too quickly. And TikTok, if you're an artist and you know how to do the video and speed up a video you've drawing something, drop that on TikTok. You'd be surprised. You start building a TikTok on it. Mike, you were going to say something.
Well, check it. Like that's like if you could play that drawing and just tell me what you think of it. If you want to go there, I've been doing these like 4 or 5 a week, right? You think I should put these? I get my own TikTok and put this up there.
but faster, because TikTok I think is like 60 seconds. What were you going to say, Mike? While we're
Oh
watching?
no, you answered my question because I was wondering because he had put Judge Dredd in the title, but you answered my question.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
So
Oh, is this
has,
time lapse? Okay.
Yeah, this has music too. If you could turn on the.
Is it copyright free music?
It's from YouTube. The YouTube.
Okay. We're good then. Yeah. Because I have to ask that because we just got in trouble recently for a
Oh,
video.
wow.
Because if we play anything with copyrighted music, our YouTube channel gets in trouble. Oh, wrong button.
If you were going to do this for TikTok, you'd have to shorten it up a little bit, though.
Only 60 seconds.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, you can turn it down. But anyway, yeah, this is what you think this would be popular on TikTok, this kind of stuff.
Yeah, you can use hashtags on TikTok because they're trying to build right now. Go ahead, Mike.
But what I would do is if you want to do these videos in groups and stuff like that, I'd love to know what your process is and what you're thinking. Like, for instance, when you're doing like this Judge Dredd here, I would love to know what pins you're using, what technique you're using, and things like that. That attracts me more than just a time lapse drawing.
Yeah, right.
And I wouldn't put in like, okay, and then this color and then this. I would do like one drawing. This is the inking process that I use. Like I see you using a Sharpie there sometimes. I'm interested to see how you use that. And then on the next video, the next drawing you do like maybe, and this is how what I use for coloring and things. And those, I think those will pop more. Those things kind of educate as well.
Mm-hmm.
And show off what you can do. So
yeah, right. But those would be probably slow videos that are slowed down.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Because talking over this is like slowed down into like 2 minutes. You're saying a normal speed video and then just talk about it.
You don't necessarily have to be a normal speed video. It could be a little bit faster, like maybe 1.5 or what have you.
Right.
Because I know when you're actually drawing, it takes a little bit longer than when somebody's willing to sit there and look. But if you speed like 1.5, you can still explain what you're doing. Oh, and here I'm using this, and that will work too. But yeah, go ahead.
No, did you want to finish that thought?
Well, there's not. I mean, it would just be repeating what I said. I mean, really.
Well, here's the thing. Let's just say you've got a YouTube channel and you're doing the long form, where you're doing the casual talking and the drawing and things like that. And maybe you have a co-host and stuff. There isn't anything that's stopping you from taking that material and repurposing it, taking little clips and making these TikTok videos, taking these little clips and sharing it out to your groups. So you're taking the one thing, you're taking your time with it, you're having fun, but there's no reason why you couldn't download that and repurpose it for these other platforms. That way you're not doing 3, 4, 5 times the work. Repurpose everything.
Right. I do. I share these on all my pages and on all my social. I just haven't. I have a TikTok thing for my Goon Cartoons channel on YouTube, but not a personal TikTok yet. So yeah, I mean, I could.
Yeah, but just keeping in mind what forum you're posting them to, and then making sure that it's carved down to fit, and then again, knowing what the platforms use. Instagram, obviously, you can post little videos up there, and use the hashtags. Same thing with TikTok.
Right.
But long form would be your groups. It's like it could be a little bit longer with the videos, and then. Who's to say that you couldn't do like a highlight of the different art and incorporate a whole bunch of it and just say, hey, if you're interested, this is what I've got coming down the pipe. So, I mean, it's a lot of things where you can take that long form material that you're already doing and then take the time to edit it down so that you're not like, okay, I'm over here and then I'm live streaming there and I'm trying to do this on TikTok and everything. You've already got the material. Then just clean it up and target that audience.
Yeah, can you upload a widescreen video to TikTok and will it automatically shrink it, or do you have to make it square or whatever for TikTok?
I believe they have a format. You have to look it up, but there is a specific format which they expect you to do it from, and it's usually the aspect ratio of a phone, because most people are using the phones
Yeah, right. I'll check it out. Yeah, it's something like when I got on TikTok, it was like, oh, a new social media platform. Like, how does this work? And it drops down, and it works different than Instagram. And I was kind of like,
I can hook you up with someone who does really great stuff, and we'll actually show him some love right now. Danny J. Quick is amazing.
Uh-huh.
I was going to call it Instagram, on TikTok. Like he does. I'm a fan of his, man.
Can we call it the TikTok? He's on the TikTok.
He's on the TikTok. Yeah. He's on.
We might be showing their age there a little bit. Call it. It's on the Facebook.
Yeah, but look what he did. He got 50. This is him. I think this is
53,000. How quickly did he do that?
Probably over the last 8 months. I want to say.
Wow.
I believe it was during the pandemic. He doesn't mention it here, but like he did some great stuff. I mean, he does amazing TikTok videos. Now, the one thing is you won't notice him here, but whenever you go to his feed up top, it's always in like that your friend's feed, that thing that you get on top. You know what I'm talking about?
Can you see his TikTok feed on the web, or can you only see it in TikTok?
The stories?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about, the stories?
Yeah, the stories.
So this is his TikTok feed or his Instagram?
No, I'm going to see if we can actually find. I don't think TikTok lets you go through this.
Oh, I see. That's his Instagram, but those are his stories, right?
Yeah. So let's see. Oh, wait. I might be able to get it. Danny Quick. There we go. Ace Blade. So he's got 53,000 followers here. He's got 1.6 million likes. And look at him, man. Content.
Probably a lot of him talking to the audience more than him drawing, right? Like I don't see that many live drawings, right? It's mostly him.
He doesn't do the live drawings. He's not a live drawing artist. He's actually he makes funny videos and he interacts with people. But I've seen artists doing that now, because now everyone's realizing. For a while, everyone thought the TikTok was going to go away, right?
Right.
Now you're getting people who are like, oh, wait, this isn't going anywhere. And now you're getting people, see? Look at this. People drawing. Oh, I don't want to play that out loud. Hold on. I'm going to mute myself until I can figure out how to take care of this.
So you think TikTok is still in its young stages, like early Twitter, early Instagram, where you could do cool stuff?
Yeah, especially considering Facebook wasn't allowed to buy it. I think it'll be okay. I think if Facebook had bought it, we would have seen the killing of it, or if
the monetizing of it and the changing of the algorithms.
Yeah,
I could do all sorts of cool stuff like this, weird art, I guess I should get into it then, huh?
Yeah, I'm telling you, this is an untapped market. I actually had a channel for our forecast, and we stopped doing it.
I love that. I could totally do stuff like that.
Right?
This is awesome.
And I watch this stuff. I also watch TikTok. So
that's sped up. That's time lapse, right?
Yeah.
Or we're just watching it slowed down.
No. This is how.
He's using a hairdryer.
Cool, right?
I love it.
Yeah. So I also watch TikTok honestly to see that women are weird just like men. It makes me feel better.
The thing about TikTok is kind of this. You go back and you look at Vines. Musically, things like that. So TikTok is kind of the next generation of it. Kind of like how Vines would be MySpace and TikTok would be Facebook. No, nobody has I love either one anymore.
I was all over Vine. I was doing stop motion. I was doing animated videos. Vine was so fun. And I got in there early and then they killed it.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. It's just like Vine.
They bought
it's just like Vine. It might not have as long of a runtime.
Oh, look at this. Oh, cool. Yeah, right. Oh, I could do stuff like this all day long.
That is honestly what I would suggest to you.
Artist OMG, 3.6 million.
Yeah. So we're going to give both of them love. By the way, both of these creators of content are going to be in that link that we're making today for you guys. So
I love it.
Give them love too, because they were on the show.
I'm learning. See, you learn stuff on these podcasts. I'm stuck inside doing it. What works? What doesn't? I can't figure it out. I need to interact with guys like you that know the shit. You know.
You know what it is too. And as an artist, you have so many other doors open that I just don't have, but I know about them because I pay attention.
Yeah, right.
And you get these marketers who are like 3 months behind the curve that are telling you to do the things that worked 3 months ago because they're not in it. They're not in it every day. They're not talking to creators. Like I have conversations with creators every single day of my life.
Right.
You know, every day someone's reaching out to me asking me, what can we do? How can I change things? And then I go looking. Someone asked me about something. Someone asked me about TikTok, and I started looking into it. We had a TikTok channel. We were starting to build a presence. The forecast went away. I didn't have anything else to do with it. But you,
Right.
endless possibility.
Here's a question. Like, I'm an artist, right? But I have like a bunch of different styles, right? Like, I have my stuff where I'm doing my comics, right? I have this comic book style, right? And then I have, hold on one second. So this is like an original painting that I just did, right? So I also work in this style, right? Where I do like kind of fine art, pop surrealism type stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a video game out there called Cuphead that uses that style.
Cuphead's great. I love
Cuphead. So it's very popular with a youthful market. So they're going to really recognize that. Yeah.
So these are some paintings that I do. So my question is, like, if I'm doing work like this, right, and then I'm doing comic stuff, like these are some recent paintings. Should I have two TikToks, do you think, where one is one style and one is the other? Or should I just put it all together?
No, I think your instinct's right on TikTok with that, because you're going to get a fan base, and that fan base is going to. It'd be like the perfect analogy to you is when I'm doing my kids stuff. I don't put my adult stuff there. When I'm doing my adult stuff, I don't put my kids stuff. Sometimes,
yeah, but this wouldn't really be kids stuff because I have a lot of adult themes in there. You know what I mean? It's really more like Robert Williams, lowbrow stuff.
But your fan bases are very different. People who buy comics don't buy usually paintings and people.
Yeah, right. So you think I should have two TikToks, one for comic drawing, one for fine art drawing?
Yeah, because you'll get fine art. Because let's be honest, and I hate to say this out loud, but it's the truth. People who are into fine art still look down on comics. Your comic book fans would instantly go over to your fine art channel without even a second thought. They got into you, they'd be like, "Oh, you have another one? That's so cool." But if you tell the fine art folks, "Hey, I make comic books," they're gonna be like, "Okay, you keep it over there. I'm here for the fine art." You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Can you have TikTok? Can you switch between profiles just like Twitter and Instagram?
I don't know if it's that easy with them yet, but I'm sure they'll upgrade it. So because they know people are starting to do this, they know. That's why they fought so hard to stay in America, because they almost got kicked out this year.
Yeah, I wonder. You know what? I think I'll probably do a comics one first, and then switch. But yeah, I'll think about that because I'm trying to. Because I do two different styles that I work in, and I'm not sure, I'm thinking about, because I have my regular Instagram that is mostly the fine art stuff, and I'm thinking about starting another Instagram that's just comic book work, because it's too different when you see them in the feeds, and I think I'm like, people are telling me, no, you need to separate it, so maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, you can't. It's and I know it's a weird analogy to hear kids and adults, but you have to look at things. Do these categories mix? And that's how I always look at something.
Right.
Are you combining two worlds that go well together? Are you doing peanut butter and jelly, or are you doing peanut butter and vinegar?
Yeah, peanut butter and vinegar, maybe.
It
creates extra work when I'm already tapped, but I guess you got to do it,
Once you get the rhythm of it, though, and I'll let C handle this, but once you get in the rhythm, like Meredith said, I do all this stuff. I don't even feel it. I just know intuitively. It becomes
No, I get up in the morning and I'm like, okay, social, post, share. Now I'm done. Go back to, doing work, so I try to get on that, and I'll just add TikTok to the list,
And just make every day a theme. Today's the day I do this, because if you're doing too much of one thing, it's going to hurt you. And if you're doing just the theme every day, you're not doubling up on that same theme. A 3-day cycle, 4-day cycle.
Right. But TikTok has to be a live video, or you can upload to TikTok?
Oh, you can upload. You can absolutely upload.
You can upload from the web too, like a video that you already made.
Yeah, it just has to fit in the feature. And real quick, remember to interact with people. A lot of the posts I'm seeing with you, you're not interacting. You're not encouraging the conversations. If you encourage the conversation, they stay longer. That's how Facebook went over. What were you going to say, C?
Well, no, I was saying, and what works for his style is because you have an older generation that recognizes that, you have your Felix the Cat and everything. But you also have a younger generation that's coming up into that too. So you're at a very good place as far as the market's concerned. So that as far as that, I just encourage you on that style, especially because you're going to get your older audience and you're going to get a younger audience that's coming up. And if you catch them when they're young, they're going to continue on.
Right,
So-
right. Like if you look at Lance Inkwell, I don't know if you know him on. I
Yes,
think he worked
yep.
for Cuphead. His feed is all the classic cartoon stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's all one style. I don't know if he draws in a separate style. Maybe the stats is one thing, but there's artists like me and other people, and we draw in different styles. You kind of have to like separate. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I could do like I also worked on Solar Opposites, that show that the Rick and Morty creators did, and I could draw in that Rick and Morty style. And I'm thinking I could draw every superhero character as a Rick and Morty character. Oh, let me show you these guys. I showed this in the last thing. You guys might like this stuff.
Oh yeah, you'll be racking up. Serious.
If you can hit something that's hot and make it
Oh my
different,
gosh.
you're gonna cash in.
So these are my Rick and Morty. These are some Rick and Morty drawings that I've done, right?
Yeah.
So that's Rick and Morty. That's Rick. And these are characters done in the Rick and Morty style, right? Wonder
Right.
Woman, Adam Strange. Oh, there's a Joker, and let me stand up here, right.
Oh wow.
A classic
Yeah.
Green Lantern,
Yeah.
Superman, Batman. There's a Joker. There's an Aquaman. Original Captain Marvel. Bunch of DC characters. Oh, there's Green Lantern. There's Marvel.
And that's
So, you
the
know,
stuff. If you find a Rick and Morty fan at a show, or if you even
Oh.
connect with them online, you're going to make money.
You are. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't
And then
know,
with
like
your
would
background.
would I start a whole new like Instagram for that stuff? I don't know. It's like
No, I would add that to just your comic book stuff, because
Yeah,
that would
right.
fit perfectly with comic book.
So
Because
these
Rick
are
and
some-
Morty fans are comic book fans.
Yeah, right. So these are just some of my drawings that I've done that I'm, trying to either put out there on eBay or just try to sell them. And it's weird. I got to bring the fans to my shop because I
Mhm.
haven't really been able to sell these on eBay.
Why aren't you selling them on Facebook?
You mean post them on Facebook on my store or just in a link with a price?
You know there's a marketplace on Facebook now, right?
Yeah, right. I have a Facebook store, but you're saying I should put them on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, well, even
Different
like
than my Facebook store that I have.
yeah, well, no, I'll show you some that we didn't get to talk to about this week. That's okay though; it's not a huge deal. But the reason I'm bringing it up is that I recently converted a group to do something very different going forward, and I'll share that with you guys right here, right now. And this is one of the things, Meredith's like, you do too much stuff. So hold on, I'm calling it.
Well, I'm trying to get someone, if someone could help me sell some stuff. Like I'm looking for a Facebook group that could sell original comic drawings and sketches and sign stuff. If someone could sell it for a commission, I could provide the drawings. I don't know if you know anyone that does that stuff.
There's a group. Look for commissions. Let's see. I sent you a friend request, and I'll see if I can find that. But there is a group that does. They have commissions that they show off. They show off their commissions, but they also let you know that you can post to get commissions as long as it's
right.
there's on.
I'm in that group, and I posted all that. Bob's Burger stuff and the Rick and Morty stuff in the cartoony style. I got no offers. And then I looked at the group. It's really more realistic, but nobody wanted the Rick and Morty or Bob's Burgers styled stuff, believe it or not. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, commissions. Yeah, I'm in that group. So that's why I did more realistic stuff. I don't know.
Right. Are you connected with Mog Park? I know that she does a lot of stuff
I
as
think
far as commissions
Trish
and
from the
putting
last
art
time.
out there.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to connect with her. She does her show on Saturday.
I believe so. Yeah.
I'm going to try to connect with her and maybe do that next Saturday. But yeah, I would love to get in with a group that could help me sell like sketches or get me in the collector base because I'm on Comic Art Fans, but I don't really I think you get lost in there. There's so many people. But yeah, I'd love to get in with a group like that.
Yeah, and like you're seeing right there, you notice at the top of the screen, and I think that someone wrong.
Comic-Con table. This is a selling group?
No, this is brand new. This used to be our indie event. We switched
Okay.
the theme to it to be just about comic books, but now look, you can post comics in here, and it goes to a bigger marketplace. And you can still do discussions. And I think I'm trying to see. And by the way, I got an error message from Facebook. I had invited Wendy from the Fairies to come on, and for some reason it errored out. It didn't send her the link. Meredith, can you send the link? I don't know if we're not friends and it's not letting me send the link.
Send the link to StreamYard to Wendy Steen StreamYard.
Yeah, because she had the Kickstarter, and I told her to come on today, and I feel bad because I didn't realize it errored out. I thought she was just busy because of the weather up north. I thought she might be in the north.
You can post in that group, and it goes to the bigger marketplace.
Yes, that's what's been happening. Like when I did it, I'm trying to find my group. So when you do sell something here, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I do the item for sale, right? And then when you're finished filling this out and you upload all your stuff and you go here, it actually brings up a screen and says, "Hey, would you like to put this in the marketplace?" And I said,
"Hell yes, I do."
And it wound up doing it. So I'm trying to get my group, and that's how I found out that Wendy didn't get the invite I sent her an hour and a half ago. So I was pretty pissed off. That's why I stopped for a second. And I was like, well, maybe I'll ask Meredith to send it, 'cause maybe it's something to do with us not being friends. So I want to see if in a normal group that would work. So let's see. This is our group.
This sounds cool, dude. I'll post some stuff up there today, man.
And then what you do in here is, because someone had said that, because it said the con table, it said that I should just be, yes, to clarify, you want her to come into StreamYard. Someone had recently told me that, because we were just doing comics, they're like, well, you should let art be sold too. So what, you listen to what people want sometimes with a group,
Oh, right. Yeah, I wouldn't. I do have signed comics that I've done, and I could put those up there. But yeah, I'd like art would be a higher price point for me. So you're saying right now I can't sell art in that group?
No, you can. I'm changing the wording because I'm losing the fight with my friends about them not being able to sell art, and they're like,
"How about sketch covers? I got a ton of sketch covers too."
I mean, just so you know, it is a new. Well, how many people do we have at the indie event? Because I just switched it last week, and we've been working on it. And I know art's been a big thing. We should, because it's called the con table. Don't they sell things at a con table?
Don't pull me up big. You can just leave me in the side here. Keep doing what you're doing. This is Bob's Burger sketch cover that I did. Linda. Tina, and then Vengeance of Vampirella in Bob's Burger style.
Have you joined any groups that is there like Bob's Burgers fans groups or anything?
I'm in all those groups, all the big ones, and I post all this stuff, but it doesn't seem to lead to sales, and they don't let you post, stuff that you're selling. You know? So I'm trying to I'll post. I figure people will come back and follow me. I don't know how often it works or not or what, but I post in there.
Do they know? Do they know that you've worked on Bob's Burgers? When you
I'm pretty vocal about it. Or if they go to my profile, they could see it. Oh. I post storyboards. I post pages from the comic book that I worked on. I post pinups that I've done. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna actually create an actual thing real quick for us to look at. So I'll show it to you, and I'll go through the process. So this is going to be from comicbookschool.com, which oops, I spelled it wrong. This is a free book that we made in 2020 through Comic Book School in an 8-page challenge. We came together from Buddy Scalera, and we got the book out. So it's free for you guys to get, but I'm going to put it up in there, and I'll, let's see. Here we go. I'm going to grab all this information. Oh, here, about the anthology. We'll grab this information and I'll put it in here so we just have something. So when I send this out, because I don't want to send something out that's not got something, Oh,
I could give away free PDFs here, of my comics.
Well, we're going to find out.
That's what you're doing. You're going to, can you put a PDF right in there?
See right here, Marketplace.
Yep.
Now, the one thing you want to do when you're doing Marketplace, though, and this is the important thing, product tags, comic book, PDF. And then those are product tags. You can do art.
How about comics, the word comics?
Comics, there we go. And like I said, this is new to us, so we're just doing this now. But we're trying to expand.
Sequential art, yeah, right.
And then, I guess it did have.
So add your listing to other groups. These are other groups that you have. What's buy and sell online worldwide? What's that?
Oh, I didn't even look to do that because I don't own those groups. Those aren't mine.
But you could add to it.
Yeah, apparently. I didn't even notice that until you mentioned it because I didn't think of it that way. But yeah, if you belong to other groups, what were those groups? Let me see.
And so Marketplace isn't really a bidding thing like
No, because you tell them where to go. Like you saw Bobby Gregory put up his Cat Dad and Supermom book, and that's in preview right now. But it went to the Marketplace, so
right. So you could put a number, like if you're selling a comic, I have 10 of these. You put 10, you could sell 10.
well, if let me see if it. Usually it says in the. I'm in my my other screen, but in my screen, my main screen, it'll show right here. That right where it says message, okay, you message a person for it. It says from my side of it when I'm signed in, it says take off if it's sold. So the minute you sell it, you can stop the listing, and you get updated through your messenger too if you want as people message you. So it's kind of cool, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. We're trying to help the community.
Right. It doesn't automatically take it off once you sell it.
I think you can do I don't think you can do a limit. Let's see. I mean, like I said, this is new to me. Let's see. Does it have a limit? No. It does not have a limit. But you also, they're messaging you, remember, to buy it from you. You don't want to set up through Facebook. I don't trust Facebook. I don't suggest it. Have them go through your store and invoice them through your PayPal store or your, what's the other one? It's PayPal and there's another big one and I have it. Stripe.
Why are you just doing the stuff through Facebook?
I don't trust Facebook personally because of the hacks. They get hacked all the time, right. And I don't want. I've had my identity stolen. I don't want to have it happen again. And it's funny because they actually helped my credit score.
It happened through Facebook?
No. But it was one of the things they warned me about not putting in my charge card information in Facebook. When I got the whole packet of things not to do, they strongly suggested not having any of your information on Facebook. It's too easy to apparently get to the background.
I don't think I do have any of that stuff.
You do PayPal, right? You have a PayPal account? You can invoice through PayPal now. Okay. I love it.
Okay. Let's do it, man. I'm into it. I'll put some stuff up there today if that's cool and see what happens.
Go for it. I mean, we're putting it out there. And if you notice that it says only comics, don't worry, I'm changing that because, like I said, I got outvoted by my friends. And
are you selling stuff often when you put it up there?
I already sold Barbara Unleashed, which I put up there, and I already sold an Advocator that I put up there. So it's
450 people in there, so that's cool.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's a newer group. We just changed the format of the group a week ago, so no one's even used to this yet. This is just being built in the background. And I got yelled at right away because I said no art. And they're like, how could you do that? Yeah. I got my ass handed to me by a friend.
You said that.
No, he's like, it's a Comic-Con table? Well, fucking Comic-Con doesn't sell art. I was like, whoa, that came in hot. I was like, dude.
Right. All caps.
Yeah.
No emojis.
It wasn't me, okay?
It wasn't Meredith, but I got a mad one about that. So I was like, fine, I'll turn it in. As long as it's something to be on a Comic-Con table, I'm fine. Because it's not, my friend even said, he's like, oh, it's not, you're not the police. It's not your business to worry about what people are selling. Right. I was like, you're going to sell pot at my store? He's like, no, Dick, I'm not selling pot.
Cool. But, I think I got some backers while we were doing this. It went up a little bit. Right. I don't know if it was because of this thing, but
it'd be because of Mike. Mike James is great on our show. He's always putting the links out. He's always getting people to see it. Mike's the bomb.
He's working behind the scenes. He is, Mike.
Yeah. Well, he's just a great fan. I'll tell you, he actually, for the Advocator here, he got himself some copies for me, actually. He's someone who actually, during the campaign, during the winter, he actually got this because he's a huge fan of Chuck. And he wanted to see Chuck's earlier work, so he bought the books off of me because I don't think Chuck had any more. And when he bought them off, he sat there and he actually talked about each story and gave a review of each story in this anthology series.
Yeah, great.
So he's awesome. Mike's definitely, and he backed your book, I'm pretty sure. I know.
Maybe he did.
He's one of your backers, him and Trish.
Yeah. So. Oh, yeah, Trish did. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Which I appreciate. But yeah, I'm trying to, it's difficult because like some of the pitfalls of the whole Kickstarter thing is like I have a huge press list, probably like 250, maybe more, maybe 300 now with this other list I got. I got like 0 press coverage from a press release I sent out. So none of the sites, even the smaller ones, I think Daily Dead covered me. ComiX Crusaders said they were going to cover me. A couple other smaller sites, but none of the big ones. I'm like, this is kind of a waste. And then my newsletter has over 600. I definitely don't have 600 backers. I only have 27. So of those 600 backers from Asylum Press, these are the Asylum Press fans, no one's coming in. My personal newsletter is about 300. I don't know where those guys are. So it's like I got to reach new people. So, I'm posting Facebook. Oh, sorry. Are we getting some feedback?
Is that a bird?
Oh, that's me, and it's my background.
Oh,
But no,
I
I
was
just
like
before I
feedback.
put myself on mute.
That's funny.
I was going to say, Frank, make sure that I sent you a friend request on Facebook.
Okay.
When you have press releases, and this is really for all the creators that are out there. I am an associate editor over at Geek Insider, and we would be more than happy to put your press release up.
Okay, cool. I have one like ready to go. Like I've been sending them out.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you send me your email in the
I'll put it
private
in.
chat?
Yep, I'll put it in private chat.
I'll send that thing right
And
now.
actually, it's not a big
Yeah.
secret. It's Meredith@geekinsider.com.
Okay.
Sign her up for all the stuff that you guys think is funny.
Rob,
I
you
get
are the
some of the
devil.
weirdest emails when the Comics Newswire, the stuff I get in there. Whoo! And I talk about that one all the time. But yeah, and his is actually, you sent it to me, if I'm not mistaken. You're on my list for tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
I do I don't do releases over the weekend. If you send it to me on a Friday,
Yeah.
I do it on the weekend.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm getting, so like reaching out to people, I'm getting some, so I'm starting to get some coverage, which is cool. But mainly I think I think these podcasts are going to do more than the press, because, Bleeding Cool said they were going to do an article and they told me to write it up myself. I'm like, okay, so I wrote up the article. I haven't seen it posted on Bleeding Cool yet. So if that happens, that would be cool. That's a pretty big site. But otherwise, I'm just like going out and like showing, hey, this is my book. These are the first printings, doing drawings. Did you guys want me to do like a live drawing, or were we going to do a live giveaway? What did we say we were going to do?
We could do that another show. Don't worry about it. We wanted to talk to you. We wanted to get to know you. This is our first time doing with you, and we loved having you in the room. And this was about marketing today. I actually deliberately chose marketing because I knew that you were talking on the other thing. It's always changing. It's always weird. But these live interactions, I'm telling you, because you're meeting people, you get to see people, like they feel your energy. It sounds weird, but we've gotten used to actually sussing someone out now on a video screen and deciding if we like them or not. And you become part of a culture that follows and carries.
Yeah, totally. And then when Comic-Cons come back again, we'll see each other in person and could be like, hey, I know you.
Exactly.
I guess
did that. I just did that at DeLand. I was able to meet Roland Mann for the first time.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So it was really cool to meet up with, people that I've been interacting with over the last few months, and then just saying, hey, we're going to be at such and such. I'm like, all right, I'll see you there. And it was a lot of fun to do that. So this is kind of a gateway for a lot of people.
Sure, definitely. Yeah, and here's my IMDb page. So this is a lot of stuff I worked on. You can click on some of the storyboards there that I've done and just look at, the filmography. This is from a Marvel Superheroes interactive thing at Madame Tussauds. It was a 3D, 4D event kind of a thing. I think you could see the trailer online. Madame Tussauds in England, Marvel Comics, Marvel Heroes, Madame Tussauds. But these are some storyboards for that. And I put this up because they're very tight and it's very clean and you can see what's going on. But let me send. Now this is just a Spider-Man sample that I did just to show people Spider-Man versus Doc Ock. It wasn't really for anything that was put out there. It was just kind of a sample, Marvel superheroes kind of thing.
That's weird. All right, Justin has a new album coming.
this is more of just a sample. Spider-Man fighting Doc Ock. And this was for a film called Smart Card, which James Oxford made. He was he's a concept artist for like all the big Marvel movies, X-Men, Iron Man, all that stuff, big in the concept. So he wanted to become a director. He made a short film, and that's where I met him, and I did storyboards for him. So that was kind of like my first foray into boarding for live action, is something that got made.
And there we go. Up. I think. Oh no. Did we see this one already? No, this one's.
No.
I think it's new. Yeah, there we go.
And that's what I looked like a few years ago.
And it also would be interesting if you do your YouTube channel. There is a huge misconception as far as storyboards and comics are concerned, since you've done both of them, to kind of give us an idea of what the difference of them is and to educate people. Yeah.
Well, I just sent you a link. Here's my storyboard portfolio link. Now, here's you could see specifically a lot of boards from stuff, and I have some stuff from Lovecraft Country if you want to see it. And storyboards are like comics, except they're usually done a lot looser, because it's just a matter of giving the director and the crew and the DP something to go off, like something to start the conversation. Oh, this is the shot I want. Let's use this as a basis. So they don't have to be as tight as comic books. They don't have to be in color. It's just kind of like to start the conversation. Otherwise the director could get on set and go, well, I want, a medium shot, and I want him to go over here, him to go over here. And everyone's trying to figure out what he's saying. With a storyboard, it's just pretty clear. Here's the shot to this, to this, to this, to this. So it is it's storytelling, but it's just a different process. It's kind of a communication tool. And then for animation, you really have to do a lot more.
Yeah, see, that's the kind of stuff you could tap into on tutorials, on YouTube videos and stuff like that people will pick it up and kind of advertise you a little bit more, because they'll come look at that saying, oh, well, if I have say I'm an indie movie maker and I don't really quite understand storyboards. Well, now I could go look and see this tutorial of what a storyboard is and how to read a storyboard and understand it. Right. Just tap into your wealth and your knowledge, Yeah. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that do tutorials on YouTube. It would be a whole nother thing. I guess I'm starting with these, speed drawings. We'll see where that goes, and maybe I'll do some tutorials. So these are all different. This is an Iron Man kind of a sample that I did. This is actually from Insidious: The Last Key. These are some boards that were used in the shoot.
Come on, there we go.
This is a Shazam sample. It wasn't, for the movie, but it's just kind of a sample to show some superhero stuff. That's from Insidious. Here's more of that Spider-Man board, but just reformatted. That's from Lovecraft Country. If you go to the top, you can go, and that's just a sample for Aquaman. If you go to the top, if you go to live action, the live action one. So if you want to see Lovecraft Country, that's probably something you're more familiar with. You could check that out. So these are all boards from different scenes.
Now, let me ask you, with these boards, do you ever actually, are you allowed to sell these or anything like that?
They're all digital, so there wouldn't really be much to sell. But I don't yet. From what I signed, I don't think I could sell it. Like older stuff that I've done, like most storyboards now are digital anyway. I've got some stuff that I did for Bionicle, and I could probably sell that because, it was so long ago and it was so old. A lot of animators that worked on Simpsons and stuff, they kind of sell their stuff at conventions, and nobody really says anything. But for a big, like if you worked for a big Marvel movie and you did some concept and you sold it on the web, they could probably tell you to not do it. But if you sold it behind the scenes at a convention, no one's going to find out. You know what I mean? but none of this stuff is really it's not on paper, it's all digital.
I hear that. All right. It looks awesome. We're happy to help. We are a little over the program.
Okay,
Wendy,
cool. Yeah. No problem, man.
Meredith, is Wendy going to be able to show up, or are we?
I sent her the link, and it doesn't look like she saw my message yet. So,
right.
Oh, hold on a second. It says, I think I'm already scheduled for a live show. So there's a bit of a conflict.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as we sent out the invitation, we're happy. All right,
Yeah.
so we're gonna let everyone go. Frank, you can hang out with us behind the scenes. We just we're gonna start wrapping it up because also
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. Let's be in contact because I'd love to learn more about TikTok, and I want to do the Facebook group. I'd like to post some stuff today on that shop for sure.
You should be able to as long as I think that group is set to anyone, right? In the event, well, didn't we set it that anyone can join that?
I think so.
Yeah, so you should just.
I'm gonna put my email in the thing, and I'll look for it. What's the name of the group again, just real quick, because I forgot. I didn't write it down.
The Comic Con Table.
ComiX Con Table.
Yes.
Yeah, Rob, you want to put the link in the private chat?
I'll actually put it in the public one too in our group for you guys who are watching. So it's in that whole link on our site with everyone's links in it.
Okay, cool. I got it. Maybe I'll stay on, but I'll turn my camera off. I'm going to grab some coffee, but how long are you guys on for? Another hour?
Sometimes, we're ending the show now, but we usually hang out for like 10, 20 minutes after the show.
Okay.
Just to talk and chat, because sometimes there's things you want to talk about off air that you don't say.
Oh, right.
You never let them see how you make the sausage. And with that said, before you grab your coffee, just tell everyone where they can find you one last time.
So I'm frankforte.com is my website. Frank Forte Art on Insta, Twitter, and Facebook. That's my page. Goon Cartoons is an original animation channel on YouTube. AsylumPress.com is my indie publisher site. And then just look up Vampire vs. Blood Right Sketchbook. And that's on, that's the Kickstarter that's currently now. And you can get tangible printed comics, first printings of our original Vampire vs. comic and the new sketchbook.
All right. And Meredith, can you just take over with the goodbyes? I'm going to finish our link for today's show.
I believe that I can. All right. Oops,
sorry, that was me. That was me.
All right, so we're saying our goodbyes. Michael, where can people find you?
As always, on Facebook, sometimes on Twitter, and right here on Sundays and Fridays. And I also do my Silverline stream on Wednesdays, so you can check it out there.
All right, you guys, and you can find me at linktree.com/MEREJ99. That's linktree.com. I recommend people do that so that you can centralize all your links and share one link out to your friends. I am trying to find where our outro is. This is Sunday Comics Brunch. Where is it, Rob? Where is it? We're looking.